Society won't last long. The serious economic issues that we're facing with inflation, low income, stagnating growth, it's insane. And it's not going to go down. It can't go down. Inflation cannot slow down. The reason why inflation cannot slow down is because the United States government needs that inflation. The United States government needs inflation to keep on growing and growing rapidly and consistently so that the value of the money, the value of the debt that the US holds will decrease and decrease substantially. Because by it decreasing, then people will naturally have to earn more money. And as people naturally earn more money, that will generate more taxes. And as that generates more taxes, the value of the money will decline, but so will the value of the debt. And as a result, they will then be able to pay their debts because currently they owe over $34 trillion in onshore debt, and there's over 200 trillion in offshore debt. The United States basically takes out loans. So basically, they borrow money to pay their debt and they sell bonds. So they basically package all of the debt in bonds and they sell these bonds to other countries. And then they basically say, okay, well, you'll buy these bonds from us, and in return, we'll pay you interest on these bonds. So it sounds like a good deal. It's basically one big Ponzi scheme, and it's one idiot paying for another idiot, that comes along later on. But the US is at a point right now where they've exhausted this scheme, and because they have so much debt they can no longer make these interest payments. The only way to deal with this is for the value of the debt to decline. The value of the debt has to decline. So the value of our money has to also decline as well. And as the value of our money declines, people will start earning more money, and the value of debt also declines. So the US can then begin making their interest payments on debt that is now essentially worth less than it was worth years earlier. It's a miserable thing to consider. And if we experience deflation, where basically the prices go down and the consumer wins, the value of money increases, the government loses and the banks lose because they're also selling debt. You have to understand, it's not just the US government that's been doing this, it's also the banks. The banks basically take debt, they package the debt and then they resell the debt. And they just keep on doing it over and over and over. And no one really knows what's in there. They basically take bad debt and good debt and mix it together, resell that debt in the form of bonds, and then some idiots buy that around the world or even the US, and it's now attractive. This won't last forever because reality is that these things are junk bonds and no one actually knows what's in them. But I shouldn't say that. You see, as a consumer, if you educate yourself, you obviously know something's wrong, but you don't know exactly what's in them because they basically repackage it as a nice package, but you don't actually know what debt is inside of it. So you don't know how much bad debt and how much good debt it is in it. They're basically like, oh, well, it's all valuable because all debt is good, even though you have debt in there that will never be repaid. Do you understand? It's insane. It's insane stuff what they're doing, but that's just the reality of it. It's things like this that actually caused the big recession, the Great Recession back in 2008, because they were basically repackaging bad debt in the form of subprime mortgages and selling it to some country over in Europe, and eventually people are like, this is garbage. These bonds are junk, right? And it resulted in a real estate market crash. They're trying to prop up the economy right now, and the easiest way for them to do that is to basically force consumers to live off credit, create more debt, and then force inflation to keep on rising, and keep it moving along. Gen Z, is desperate. Gen Z is extremely desperate right now. It's like a desperate struggle. Like I said, they know that they don't really have the greatest of futures. The truth of the matter is that you have to kind of just reassess and say, well, what can I do with the cards that I was dealt? Gen Z is not equipped this way. They don't have the skill sets for survival. Many of them just want to retire. They don't want to actually work. and I'm beginning to really understand Gen Z now. There was an episode of Dr. Phil. I wanted to show you guys the video. Unfortunately, Dr. Phil told me, "Well, I'll let you show you the video on your YouTube channel, but I'm not gonna let you monetize it." So you know what? Thanks, Dr. Phil, but no thanks. I'll just talk about what it was, and I may link you to the video, in the comments so that you can check it out. And no hard feelings, Dr. Phil. No hard feelings. But basically, in this video, and you can see it there, Dr. Phil roast Gen Z anti-work girls. And this girl basically says that, you know, people are not supposed to have to work. She's an influencer. She's also homeless. Yeah, like it's insane stuff. And it's like she doesn't want to work and she will not work. She refuses to work for a corporation. It's insane stuff. Insane stuff. And people should not have to work. Money should basically come to you. Money should be provided to you. This is what the average Gen Zer believes. And she believes in manifestation. They're crazy. They are crazy. What they are actually looking for is a universal income, universal high income, which is what Elon Musk says it will eventually take place. And, the jobs will all be replaced by machines, and the government will basically, collect enough tax revenue from this so that and redistribute it to the to the people in the form of a universal high income. And everyone is going to be living in such excess that people will just work for as a hobby, but no one's going to actually work if they have to work. This lunacy, guys. Anyone who's a Gen Xer knows this is absolute delusion. Only Zoomers and Boomers would fall for this crap. Only Zoomers, Boomers, and some of the Millennials would fall for this garbage. Okay, Gen X damn well knows this is total BS. Only the Zoomers and Boomers would fall for this, and the Boomers know better, but they don't care because they are just like Gen Z. They'd be out there pushing and fighting for it and trying to get their cut immediately. Gen X, on the other hand, knows a swindler when you see a swindler. All right, the government would keep most of it for themselves, distribute just enough to survive, not enough to thrive, and there would be strings attached for that money. That money wouldn't be free. There would be strings attached. Anyone who has any common sense would keep on working and keep on storing away cash, buying crypto, purchasing land, and investing. That's what the smart people would do. Gen Z, of course, would try to live off it. This Gen Z basically said that that human beings shouldn't be working. Instead, they should basically, instead of making money or working for money, they should be working for attention. You heard me. Basically, the influence, and that's kind of what I've heard this proposition before. From the lunatics. This it was actually a Gen Xer who said this, and he knows better. He was on Joe Rogan, and he was trying to push this absolute garbage. Oh well, we'll have enough money so that we can basically just sit around entertaining each other. These people are delusional. They are delusional. Okay, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It's a foolish. It's basically the reality where you will own nothing and be happy. That's communism. That's communism. And you know where that leads? To totalitarianism. Okay? And we've tried this plenty of times. It never works out, and yet they never stop trying. And Gen Z is desperate as hell. Gen Z is so desperate for an easy life. For an easy life where they don't have to work hard, they can retire and go chill. Look at this comment. So there was a video I made where I talked about the fact that Gen Z is like, the boomers stole our future, so we're just going to steal it back from them. And they're doing this in the form of, looting, like stealing off porches, stealing time, like quietly vacationing where they steal time from their employers. The reality is if they don't work, someone else has to do that work. The employer still gets their money and everyone else suffers because of what the Gen Zers are doing, stealing from restaurants. So at their restaurant jobs, they'll steal money, they'll steal food, they'll steal time. When they should be working, they're not working, they're messing around, they're not. They're stealing in every possible way. They'll steal from stores, and they believe, they'll steal from the government. And they believe that this is their their means of getting what's coming to them. They basically pledged revenge against the boomers, and they're going to take back what the boomers have taken from them one way or another by looting and pillaging and making and making all of our lives miserable, because everyone older than a Gen Zer is a boomer. Oh mercy! So this is a comment on my video, Gen Zers are crooks, and I got a comment, response from this guy named Pluton, and this guy says, "Bro, you're just being an a-hole. This is really dumb reasoning, and the conclusions were constructed from straw men, just so you can rant on the old kids these days trope. Social security. Look, notice his first argument. Notice his first argument. Social Security is projected to run out in 10 years, while I'll have to wait, while I will have 42 years left until I retire. Why can't you just admit you have no idea what other people younger than you are really thinking?" So this guy's about 25 years old, assuming that he wants to retire at 67 and get full Social Security benefits. And at 25, in his mid-20s, he's crying over Social Security. And he's crying that one, is projected to run out in 10 years, and two, he'll have to wait 42 years until he can retire. Guys, this guy's a lunatic. Do you see the big problem with Gen Z? I'm going to have to wait 42 years until I can retire. Well, bro, you could also just, work hard like a normal person, live below your means, invest your money, build an income. You're not going to be able to live off Social Security anyway. Like Gen Z is not good at math. The boomers can't live off Social Security. The boomers have to have money in the bank. A lot of them don't even have enough saved up. Some of them who have like $200,000, that's not enough. And they're hoping that they're going to supplement that with retirement income from Social Security. It's crazy. Back in the day, people had pensions, and they had pensions, Social Security to bank on, and then they had retirement. The boomers were actually told not to bank on Social Security. They were told to save for retirement and do not bet on Social Security. They were told. It shocked me. And then I read about it. The boomers were actually warned, do not bank on Social Security. All right. Save for retirement. They were warned. Many of them did not listen. About half of baby boomers right now are not prepared for retirement. They don't have enough savings for retirement. And a significant portion of them are finding themselves homeless. The fastest growing group of people becoming homeless in the United States are the baby boomers. They are rapidly becoming homeless, and the government isn't bailing them out. And Gen Z thinks that they're crying over Social Security and not being able to retire until they're 67. And by the way, they're going to push the retirement age up one way or another. But at 25 years old, I'll be 41 in just a few months. And at 25 years old, these lunatics are furious that they can't go retire. Furious. They are furious that they cannot retire. I'm just like shaking my head. I'm just shaking my head. Like, what the hell is wrong with these people? Have they lost their fuzzy little minds? You're in your mid-20s, just out of college, 22, 23 years old. You've just entered the workforce, and you're going insane because you cannot buy a house. At 22 or 23 years old, you were promised all of these things, and the boomers finessed you. You were told, by the way, you saw exactly what happened to the millennials. You knew that college was a bad idea for the millennials. And what did you do? You went to college anyway and incurred large amounts of student loan debt so that you could live off that student loan debt and play and sit around play video games, get your degrees in gender studies and art history and Africana studies, and then decided that you wanted to go into the workforce and be paid $175,000 just stepping in because that's what you're owed. And it's like, bro, UPS drivers don't even make that. And they're some of the highest paid people in the United States. And you and it's so crazy because sometimes you're like, the UPS drivers, they're such nice people. They'll literally say, "Hey Gen Z, if you're upset about how much money we're making, where UPS is always hiring." And the response is like miss me with that. You can hear, like, you can see the nastiness in Gen Z. Miss me with that, old man. Did I ask you a question, old man? Was I speaking to you, old man? Did I say I wanted to work for UPS, old man? I didn't say that, did I? I didn't say that. Okay? Miss me with that. Like, that's Gen Z's attitude. Gen Z is so they're so terrible. They're such a terrible group of little people, aren't they? Terrible group of little people. Miserable group of people. And so lazy. And so lazy. Just so lazy. Where did these people come from? Who are these people? Who are they? You saw that. You saw it. You saw the comment. This man is there screaming and hollering because he can't collect Social Security at 25 years old, and he's gonna have to work another 42 years before he can go and collect Social Security and retire. And it's like they can't put two and two together and realize that, bro, you're at best you're gonna be getting what, like a little check for like $1,200, $1,500. You can't live on that, my dude. All right, you cannot live on that in 2024. What do you think you'd be doing 10 years from now? Let's say you got social 10 years from now. You could not live on that. All right, you'd be living off the welfare state. It'd be literally food stamps, Medicare. And the thing is, if you're getting that Social Security, you may not even qualify for the food stamps. So you're gonna try to live off that. Where are you going to live? How are you going to pay rent? How are you going to survive with that? You're gonna scream and holler and keep on blaming the boomers. Even if you were to get the boomer Social Security, you're not gonna get it, but they're gonna fight hard for it. The Gen Z is gonna fight hard for that Social Security. They're not gonna get the boomer Social Security, but they're gonna fight hard for it. And eventually they're just gonna cut it off altogether. But they're gonna fight hard for the boomer Social Security. And it's like they don't understand, even if they got it, there's no future for them with it. It's not gonna help them. Okay? That little money is not going to help them, especially how spendthrifty Gen Z is. Like, they need to build actual value. They need to go out into the world and create real value. Okay, these people are like, oh, I'm an influencer. But, you shouldn't have, like, this girl in the Dr. Phil video, she literally said that you shouldn't have to go and create courses or ebooks to make money. This shows you just how dense these people are. Like, she's like, you should not have to actually create real value because they're not very bright. Like this little girl, she's saying you don't have to build courses, you don't have to do ebooks, you should just be able to make money just like that. You don't have to actually create value for others. Like, this is what this little girl was saying to Dr. Phil, and Dr. Phil was roasting her, like, just really cussing her out and letting her know that the world doesn't work like that. But these people, that's just who they are. They feel like they want a world where they want communism really bad. Because they don't, Gen Z says that billionaires shouldn't exist. They say that millionaires are weirdos unless they themselves are the millionaires. So they don't like billionaires, they don't like millionaires, and they think that everyone should have a universal high income, not have to work, and have everything handed to them. And these lunatics, in the tech industry, are continually pushing this notion that that robotics are going to basically replace all the jobs, do all the jobs for us, and we will no longer have to work. We won't need any. There will be no one needed to do absolutely anything. These people are crazy. These people are crazy. And as a result of that, everyone will basically have a universal high income and can just sit around doing nothing and going after their passions of living in comfort. Guys, these people are crazy. Even the CEO of NVIDIA is pushing this lunacy that, okay, well, like not outright, but he's basically saying that, like, robotic AI is going to completely take over, and it's going to be big. I do agree with that, but they're basically trying to position it that robotic AI, along with generative AI, is going to completely wipe out every single job. They're insane. They're insane. Oh, you're going to have the robots that will go into the rooms and change the beds. So no more, you're not going to need a maid anymore. Guys, you understand how much it costs? Like, oh, we're just going to replace all of the beds with robotic bed. Oh, and what about washing the sheets? The robots will wash the sheets. The robots will gather up the sheets and wash the sheets. The robots will clean the floors. The robots will cook all the food, so we won't need people to cook food anymore. People won't even need those skills anymore. The robots will cook all the food. Guys, think about the kind of miserable world. No one is going to want to live in that type of world. All the food would be generic. It would be completely generic. Sure, you can get like a taste of, like, oh, it tastes kind of like what Chef Gordon Ramsay would do, but it's not going to be the same. All right, it's these people are insane. They're absolutely insane. You know the re and oh, and how and what about affording the robots? For example, in our very own homes, well, everyone will be able to afford a robot. That's not the way capitalism works. That's not even the way communism works. So they think that this utopia, we're going to fall into this great utopia. And there's a video from Jordan Peterson where he really explains it well.
One of the things that distinguished communism from Nazism, let's say, and made it even maybe more pernicious, the Nazis basically said, the world, that's for the Aryans, and the rest of you can go to hell, and we'll be happy to aid in the flames, let's say. There's not a universalism associated with that. There's a definite exclusion, and it's pretty bloody obvious. On the communist front, though, and this is maybe what made it such a powerful substitute in some sense for Christianity, there was the notion that what we were working for was the universal brotherhood of man and this intense inclusiveness where everyone could live together peacefully. And so people were also led down the garden path by that presumption and found out that lying in the service of future utopia turns out to be a pathway to hell, just like lying in the service of an exclusionary fascist state.
Now think about this. Universal high income, universal basic income. Guys, did I not say the ghost of Andrew Yang won't leave us alone? All right? The ghost of Andrew Yang won't stop haunting this country. It will not leave us alone. Andrew may no longer be with us, but his ghost is still here. And it won't stop. It won't stop. All right? We have not been able to successfully exorcise it from our country, from our reality. It cast an evil and wicked shadow over the United States, and it will cast an evil and wicked shadow over the world. And Gen Z is fighting for this. They are fighting hard for communism because they're extremely young. They're young, they're gullible, and they're wicked. They are wicked. And people are like, oh, you can't say that they're wicked. No, they are wicked. Gen Z, don't forget, Gen Z made it clear to me that, oh, it's not that they don't believe in God. They believe he exists. They just don't care. Capital word care. All they care about is getting their money. And I've seen arguments like, well, the way Gen Z sees it is God never did anything for them. So why would they be bothered with him? Like, just like God never did anything. God never did anything for them. So why would they be bothered with him? They are just focused on getting their money. Money that's not worth anything. And the thing is that will eventually be worth nothing at all. And the thing is that Gen Z will just, they basically just want to burn it all down. They want to burn it all down. Like, these people are lunatics. They're so far gone. They're so far gone. The society is not going to last. It's not going to last. This economy, it's not gonna last. Guys, don't forget I have another channel called Men Walking Away. If you're enjoying the content on the Angry Guy channel and you want even more of this content, head over to the Men Walking channel where I post daily videos. There's a link to the Men Walking Away channel description of the video. Go check it out, subscribe to the channel, support the content. Guys, what do you think regarding all of this? Do you agree society won't last? Let me know your thoughts and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, Men Walking Away. And cheers.